Hello. Today I'm talking about The Restraint of Beasts by Magnus Mills. Okay, Magnus Mills is an English author. He was born in Birmingham, England in 1954, and he is currently alive as of recording at the age of 72. He majored in economics from Wolverhampton Polytechnic. He tried to get a master's but dropped out and became a bus driver. He wrote about his experience as a bus driver for The Independent as short stories. His first novel, The Restraint of Beasts, is directly influenced from a period in his life from 1979 to 1986 when he was a fence builder. Due to the success of his first novel, he gave up bus driving and became. Okay, so The Restraint of Beasts is about fence building, of course, but it takes place in Scotland. We get the story from the perspective of the foreman, who is not named. And throughout the story, there is sort of a dynamic between foreman's English background and the rest of the characters' Scottish background. He's in charge of overseeing Tam and Richie, who are contract fence builders. And the foreman is overseen by Donald, who runs the entire fence building company. Donald is known for his strict hold on the process of fence building and has a very serious and organized demeanor. He keeps his office clean and everything is right where it needs to be. But Tam and Richie, on the other hand, they're very lazy, they don't want to work, and they often blow through money that they earn from Donald. Another thing I want to point out is the title of the novel. It's obviously a reference to fence building, but more so than that, I think Mills is trying to write about the prospects of working a job as well, especially a labor intensive job like fence building. We see that the beasts in this case are the workers, Tam and Richie, and the restraining has to be done by the foreman. Both the foreman and the job itself sort of ties down Tam and Richie from foregoing work. The restraint comes both monetarily and physically. Because the job is so demanding, Tam and Richie and the foreman are unable to do large amounts of work at given times, but also because they're slowly running out of funds because they're wasting it all on beer. They also can't physically leave without finishing the job, even though all of them towards the end want to. The foreman tries to impose his power and authority as the foreman onto Tam and Richie because they don't want to work very much. He has to rile them up and get them encouraged. Donald just sort of commands Tam and Richie without needing to exert a lot of force. And the foreman, after being recently promoted, is trying to replicate that. The job that they're initially there for takes them more than a couple months. Yeah, they decide to abandon the job. Well, actually, they're tasked with the second job, which they abandon. And that sort of leads to the climax of the story where they have to go back to the company and have to return to another workplace. I'm being intentionally vague because I believe a lot of the elements that work in the book's favor is the fact all the order of events is so unnatural and so unexpected. But looking at the whole picture afterwards sort of makes you appreciate Mills's ability to tell such a simple story with so much eeriness surrounding it. And at the very end, they have to build an electric fence around a sausage factory. And again, there's more implied tragedy there. Of course, nothing is explicitly violent or gets out of hand, but the book is written in such a way it sort of nudges you along to connect the dots yourself, right? There's a lot of creative liberty towards that ending, but Mills constructed it in a way where you could only have one conclusion after reading the entire book. And of course, because Mills came from a background of blue collar work after trying to, these are probably archetypes he's seen before in the workplace. That's why he's so familiar with them. You know, to get into the shoes of other people, you have to really get to know them on an individual basis. But yeah, I think the story is building upon Mills's anxieties he had. Because there's a lot of moments, very personal moments, that the foreman, the two other main characters, share with him. Yeah.